Hello, it's Mr. Thompson here, and I'm going to talk you through work today that is Grade E at GCSE or Level 5 at Key Stage 3. And it's all about finding percentages of amounts. So let's get started. Okay, so the kind of questions we're going to be working with, I'm going to give you an amount, and that amount is 200. And the kind of questions we can be answering is finding 50%, finding 40% and finding 32%. And I'm hoping by the end of the video you'll understand why each question is slightly more difficult. So let's get started by having a look at question 1. Okay, so we're being asked to find 50% of 200, and this is how I'd like you to go about this. I would like you to draw yourself a little table like this, and in the left hand side, the left hand title, we're going to write number, and the title of the right hand column we're going to write percentage. Okay, that's the symbol for percent. So the number you're given, in this case 200, is always going to go here. So I'm going to write 200 where it says number. Now it doesn't matter what percentage it asks you to find, the number you're given will always be 100%. Okay, so we're going to write 100 under the percent thing there. Simple. Now we want to find 50%. So what we do is make sure it lines up with the percentages. We've got 100 here. Underneath here, I'm going to write 50, and that is 50%. Now what we need to do is we need to do a little arrow that joins these two here like this. And we need to ask ourselves, how many 50s are there in 100? Or what have we done to 100 to get to 50? We've actually divided it by 2. There are 50 times 2 equals 100, so we need to ask ourselves what have we done. It's either going to be multiplying or dividing, never adding or subtracting, either multiplying or dividing. So we've done 100 divided by 2 gives me 50. So whatever we've done to this side, we're going to do to the other side. So you can see that we've actually divided this side by 2. So that gives me 200 divided by 2 gives me 100. So you can see that 50%, we've halved 100, we've halved 100 to get 50%, so we're going to do the same to the side divided by 2. So let's try something a little bit more difficult. That's our answer. So, well, sorry, just to clarify, 50% of 200 is 100. Okay, next question. Okay, so the next question, I forgot to change that one, that's a 2. The next question, the second question, was to find 40% of 200. So remember exactly the same process to start as before. We're going to start with this little table. The left hand side's number, the right hand side's percentage. So this number here, 200, will go underneath where it says number. Now remember what I said, it doesn't matter what percentage you're asked for, the number as it stands is always going to be 100%. Now you'll notice in the last question, we were doing 50%, and we asked ourselves how many 50s are there in 100, and then we divided 100 by 2 to get 50. This doesn't quite work because the number we want to find the percentage, this number here, the 40, doesn't go nicely into 100. So we need to think what numbers would be easy to find from 100, what numbers go nicely into 100 that also go nicely into 40. Now there are a number of ways you could do this. The one that stands out to me the most is to find 20%, because we can easily tell that there are 5 20s in 100. So there we've actually divided by 5. There is just an additional step here, which we'll come to in a minute. So to start with, I've got 100 divided by 5 gives me 20. Now remember, whatever I do to this side, I also have to do to the other side. So I'm going to divide this side by 5 as well. And you can see that if we divide 200 by 5, the answer is going to be 40. So we can already see that 40 is 20% of 200. But now what we want to do is we want to use this 20% to find 40%. So remember I said right at the start, you only multiply or divide, you never add. So what we need to do now is say, how do I get from 20 to 40? What do I multiply by? Hopefully you can see that 20 times 2 gives me 40. So that's exactly what we're going to do on the other side. We're going to times this by 2 as well. So 40 multiplied by 2 gives me 80. Therefore, 80 is 40% of 200. Okay, we'll try one more question and then I'll give you some questions to have a go at yourself. Okay, so finally we've been asked to find 32% of 200. So as again, I've done my table just as we did before. My number here will be 200, and my starting number will be 200, and that is 100%. Now, as before, we eventually want to find 32%. I'm going to leave a bit of a gap there, and hopefully we can see why in a second. 32, as before, is a bit more of a horrible number, and again it doesn't go nicely into 100. So we need to think of how could we break down 100 nicely to a number we can find, and then use that to scale it up to 32. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at 100 and think, okay, well, one of the numbers I can think of that goes into 100 that also goes into 32 is quite simply 1. So I'm just going to write 1 there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is find out, okay, how many ones are there in 100? And the answer to that is 100. So we've actually divided by 100. So that's exactly what I'm going to do again on this side. Notice how I try to line up my numbers here. I've done that all the way through. That's quite important. So I'm also going to divide this side by 100. So I'm left over here with 2. So 1% of 200 is 2. Now, to get from looking over this side, I've got 1%, and I want to use 1% to find 32%. So I need to multiply through, in this instance, by 32. If I've got 1 and I multiply it by 32, I will have 32. And this is, once again, exactly what I need to do on the other side. I've done that in the wrong colour. On the other side. So I'm going to times this side by 32. Before I can see that 2 times 32 gives me 64. So 64 is 32% of 200. So let's just make that answer nice and clear. Always make your answer clear. Okay, so 32% of 200 is 64. Okay, so we've gone through an example of question 1, question 2, question 3, and they get progressively more difficult. I'm going to give you a different number now, not 200, and I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at finding the 3 percentages I'm asking for. Okay, so I've left this up here, this table up here to help you. If you want to pause the video, have a go at these questions here. I want you to, using the number 80, find me 10%, 70%, and 89%. Pause the video and I'll give you the answer shortly. Okay, so I'm very quickly going to put the answers up. And there they are. 10% of 80 is 8, 70% of 80 is 56, and 89% of 80 is 71.2. If you got those right, well done. If not, I'd like you to rewind the video to watch the examples again of question 1, 2 and 3, and then have a go. I'll give you one more set of questions just to try out. So here you go. Find 5%, 45% and 64% of 93. Pause the video, have a go. Okay, hopefully you've had a go. The answers are going up now. There they are. Okay, so hopefully that video's been of use to you. Please do have a look on my YouTube channel to see if you can find help with any other areas of your maths. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.